Hi everyone, and welcome to video 5 of my process of learning Lazarus. What I'm going to just do I call this video um, polishing not the text anymore, because now we have to be off book, because I'm performing tomorrow, no, on Thursday night, and it's now Tuesday. So 2 more days to go to polish it up. So I call it polishing the presentation, because that's what I'm now doing. I'm thinking about it as a presentation of the story, or some people call it a recital, but for me, it's not much more visual than that. So it's a presentation or a performance. So polishing the presentation. Um, so I'm going to this video mainly will just be me showing you where I'm at. You might see little things that I'm doing and playing with, little ways I'm representing the characters differently. I've really enjoyed exploring little things like that, like both Mary and Martha say the same line to Jesus: Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I wanted to make them distinct and the characters distinct, and they are distinct. Martha has an in-depth theological discussion with Jesus. Mary just pours her heart out and falls to the ground and weeps, and so they are said differently. Um, and so there's lots of little things that I have been playing with over the last few days, and so at this stage, it has to be all there and just polishing. So I've chiseled all the diamond out of the rock. And now it's a stage of getting it ready for performance, just doing it over and over again, doing the presentation, finding those little bits where I stumble, working on them, and playing with different ways of doing the performance. Another big one is when Jesus is deeply moved in spirit. There's different interpretations of what that means, and I'm gravitating to the interpretation that it's actually an expression of anger, anger at death, anger at the broken world that he's in, and that he's going to put it right. So playing with some of that emotions and different characters. So hope you enjoy. The rest of this video will just be the presentation of um, the storytelling as it is at the moment. You'll see it's not perfect, but it's getting there. It's about polishing the presentation. So please enjoy. John chapter 11, verses 1 to 45. A man named Lazarus was sick, and he came from Bethany. John chapter 11, verses 1 to 45. A man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Martha and her sister Mary. Now, Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus: Lord, the one you love is sick. Now, when Jesus heard this, he said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son might be glorified through it. Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. And so, when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, let us go back to Judea. But, Rabbi, a short while ago, the Jews there tried to stone you, and now you are wanting to go back? Jesus said to them, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It's those who walk at night who stumble, for they have no light. After he had said this, he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, and I am going there to wake him up. They said, if he sleeps, then he'll get better. Now, Jesus was talking about his death, but they thought he was referring to natural sleep. And so Jesus told them plainly, our friend Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him. And then Thomas, also called Didymus, said to the other disciples, let us also go, so that we too may die with him. Now, on his arrival, Jesus found that, that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. And, Bethany, now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and her sister Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, she said to Jesus, oh, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask. And Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha replied, I know. He will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. Now, after Martha had said this, she went back and pulled Mary aside and said to her, the teacher is here and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up and went out to him. She got up quickly and went out to him. And now Jesus was still at the place where Martha had, Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who were in the house comforting Mary, when they noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to mourn there. And Mary came to the place where Jesus was and saw him She fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my, bro- my, my brother would not have died. And Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews with her also weeping. He was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Said, where have you laid him? Come and see, Lord. Jesus wept. And the Jews who were there said, see how he loved him. But some of them said, not he who opened the eyes of the blind man, kept this man from dying. But Jesus, once more, deeply moved, came to the tomb. Now, it was a cave with a stone placed across the entrance. And Jesus said, roll the stone away. Martha said to him, Lord, Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, uh, at this time there's a bad odor. He has been in the tomb for 4 days. Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? And so they moved the stone from the entrance. And then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I said this so that those present here, for the benefit of those present here, so that they may believe that you have sent me. And then Jesus called out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out. His hands and feet were wrapped in strips of linen with a cloth around his face. And Jesus said, remove the grave clothes and let him go. Therefore, the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did, they believed in him.